So what can you tell us about what's going to happen to Mike in the second season?
Honestly,
what do you expect to happen?
Yeah, I honestly don't know a lot, and really we've just been talking about it today. But what I can say is that the season starts about a year after the events of the finale, and from what I know, I mean, Mike is still very affected and is dealing with the repercussions of the case. I mean, he not only did Deborah Parker die, but Troy Riley. I mean, he lost two partners in the first season. That weighs heavy on him. And also, Ryan and Mike essentially kidnapped, tortured, and murdered a prisoner at the end of the season. So there are significant repercussions to that we will be seeing played out. So I think Mike continues to go down a pretty dark path and is still dealing with all of the ramifications of that season. The violence towards him, the violence that he had to inflict on other people. I mean, he killed several people. It's an intense case for this young FBI agent to go through. So I think Mike will continue down that path and sort of have to deal with some of those demons. And what I really liked about the first season is that I thought it kind of mirrored Ryan Hardy's sort of path that he took with Joe Carroll, where he started and how that wore him down. And I think Mike is sort of getting to that place, and I think it'll be interesting to see where Mike goes. Does he fall further down the rabbit hole? Does he pull himself out? Those are things that we're yet to sort of discover and find out. But I'm interested to sort of see where that goes and play with that whichever direction we take.
How's his relationship with Ryan going to change now that they've really sort of been through the ringer together?
Yeah, I mean, again, I can't tell you specifically. I can only, because I honestly just don't know. I haven't read anything, I don't know. But I think that obviously a bond has been formed with these guys, and I don't think that they're buddy-buddy and they're going to hang out and have a drink necessarily, but I think that there's a trust that is built between them. They've experienced things together, and I think there's a mutual respect, which is what Mike was trying to develop from the very beginning, and I think they both sort of got put through the fire and came out the other side with a strong trust and bond in that sense with each other. So I think we can expect to continue with that.
He had a pretty dark journey, like you said, in the first season. Was there anything in particular that was surprising to you about what they did with him, or were you expecting to go down that path?
No, I had no idea. I found out what was happening to Weston as I read the episodes, which is great. It's as if you're reading a book, and every week you get a new chapter, and you get to read it and find out what you get to do. You get to live it as it's happening. So there's no overthinking, there's no extreme planning. You sort of know who this character is eventually. After a few episodes, you feel out what's working, what's not. This sort of general direction of where, Kevin and Marcos want to take the characters. And so I was sort of surprised at everything, to be honest, because the only thing that we're really told is if we're going to die, you get a phone call a couple weeks ahead of time to let you know, just to prepare you, And after I call it the Fight Club episode where Mike gets kidnapped by Roderick and the followers and has a fight, Kevin Williamson took me aside right before the script came out and said, listen, when Mike gets wheeled away on a stretcher at the end of the episode, don't worry, he's not dead. So we're sort of given those kind of tips. But specifics, no, not so much. And I think if I were to go after them and look for them, they might tell me. But I just sort of sit back and let it come. I'm not too. The writing is always solid for me. I connect the dots. Sometimes it's frustrating where your character's doing things and you don't know the motivation. But Kevin Williamson's writing is very tight as far as the character motivation. And so I never have those questions well, I don't understand why that's happening. I want to discuss that to make sure I know it's on the page for me. I understand it. It makes sense. It's usually very gratifying to play as an actor, so I just go for it.
When you play a character like that, it's not a show where you're safe.
Yeah.
How does that change? Do you kind of take, and you can't take anything for granted, I guess, because you're not sure what's happening. Does that change how you approach playing this versus what you play as different?
No, not really. I think for an audience, though, what's great is that the stakes are always high. And I guess as actors, the stakes are always high, too, because it's probably easier to play those scenes like that because you know that the audience isn't oh, well, Kevin Bacon's walking into a room, they might not kill him, he might not get stabbed, or Agent Weston's walking into a room, he's one of our established cast, he's not going to get killed. So it's easier, I think you could relax a little bit as an actor playing the intensity of those scenes because for all the audience knows that might be your last moment. So you don't have to play that false thing oh, I'm going to play like I'm scared when really we all know he's going to survive.
Last question.
Everyone wants to be nice.
I have to say, like, do you, now playing the character for you, do you have an idea of what you would love to see for him? If you had a chance to get feedback on what Mike should do or Mike would want to do?
I think it would be. I think it would be interesting, and I'm hoping that it's sort of the direction it goes is to keep establishing this relationship with Ryan and sort of and potentially break away from the mold of the FBI, which I think we might be doing a little bit as well. And just take him down the rabbit hole, like see how messed up this can make him, how we pull him out. Like I just want to play around with him. I really like him, and also we don't really know anything about Mike. We know that he's got family and he went to school, and that's about it. So I think this season would be really nice to find out a little more about where he came from and just flush out that character and maybe have some flashbacks where we discover who his family is. That's such a big part of people's lives. So it'd be nice to sort of live with him after work, because you really only see him on the case. It would be nice to go home with him and see what he does when he goes home.